Good morning, everyone. I just want to try to capture an entry here on BABA. We have a flush point that's forming. We have our puts loaded up here on the right. And if it wants to break these lows, then I'm looking for a quick and snappy move to the downside. So we'll see what happens here. Again, looking for the break of this 261.72 mark. Markets are kind of rolling over, not a whole lot, but we'll see what happens. I will keep you updated. All right, looks like we're coming for it. Is it gonna go? All right, we're gonna what are we gonna do? Oh, we're gonna wait. All right, we're gonna hop in because it looks like the buyers are really struggling to push this lower at all. So we're in at 320, and let's go ahead and float an order out here. As price just kind of pauses right here, that's actually a pretty good thing. Yep, there's the break. So we're gonna float an order out. Let's see where that puts us. Probably way too big of a target there at 420. Let's try to adjust that to that 200 SMA. Will make a nice target here on the 5-minute. So that's about right at 370, just above our 260 strike price. And if we have to stop out of this one, we will. Pretty much when price does this and breaks a key flush point, we want to see that follow through immediately. So someone was asking about, can you post a losing trade? And honestly, I just haven't recorded a losing trade yet. So we'll see if this does turn into a loser. It's one of these situations where we have to be either right or right out. Some people call it a, breakout or bailout, and this is one of these situations. So we'll give it a second to see if it does want to get a little more continuation underneath this flush point level. But if it starts to come back into that range, then we'll have to bail on the contract, and that will be that. So I will keep you updated. All right, so the sellers should have stepped in when we did get that break of key support, and we didn't really get much follow through to the downside. I don't want to speak too early, but it does look like that hammer will close there, which would indicate that the buyers are stepping up towards those lows. So right now we're going to stop out if this, if the price action here on BABA goes above our 262 mark, and that will be our sort of line in the sand for at least staying in this contract. I don't want to exit too early if it does want to roll over here, but if we do break that 262, I just have to be out in order to keep my risk management sort of in line, and it'll be what it'll be. It'll be a small little loss here, and we will continue on with our day. So now the key break on this one is going to be sort of this 50 mark, right? The 50-cent half dollar. If we can break that, I would expect a little bit more downside continuation. If we do something like this, you can kind of see my targets in line with the low from yesterday. It's actually a little bit kind of, let's see. Well, there's the true low of yesterday. So we're kind of right at it. So the target seems to be correct. And it does look like, another hammer candle could be forming here. So I'm still going to be diligent about that stop loss. If we start trading over that 262 mark, we'll be out of here. But for now, we're just going to have to, again, be patient. Patience is going to pay here. So while we're waiting for something to happen, I will just make note that today is a Friday. I went out a week for our expiration, so theta isn't really hurting too much right now. But it's also not, the greatest to see this position go sideways. It looks like we have a few failed breakdowns now, and these hammers are forming. So I won't stop out until we do get the technical trigger over that 262 whole dollar. But it doesn't look the greatest right now. I'd really like to see those candles close as red, solid-bodied candles. But again, patience. There we go. So this is some of the selling pressure that I wanted to see. Some of that higher tempo stuff. You just saw that candle jump a little bit. That is exactly what I wanted to see. And if we can poke down below this 160 or 261.50 area that we sort of talked about, yep, there we go. We should start to see some more sellers come in, or just people not interested in long positions. There we go. So the selling is picking up. Good thing we didn't stop out. We had our 262 area as a mental stop, right? But we didn't actually have that in on the options contract, which is key because you don't want to get stopped out unnecessarily. So we'll see if we can get some continuation lower now. Now that we are violating some of this key support in here, I do think that we might have to adjust our order just slightly above that 200 SMA now. But we'll see what happens here at the 261 whole dollar now, because that will act as the next key area of support. So we want to see the sellers maintain control. And eventually, it'd be beautiful to have it come down and hit our target. But if we have to use a trailing stop now, we will. We don't want to see this contract go into a losing trade now. So we're at 320. We do not want to see price on the contract at least get back down to that area. We will stop out at that point for a break even if that's what we need to do. So again, this is kind of my scalping strategy, how I make it work for me, and we'll see what's going to happen here. There we go. So there is some pretty solid selling, as you just saw. Some tempo increase. It looks like we might get a fill. We're 5 cents off on the ask. We'll see if this pressure keeps up. This is what I meant by we might be a little bit too aggressive here with the target, but that push was actually pretty good. See if we can get a fill here as we maintain down at the lows. 370 is on the ask, 365. Let's see if we can get a fill or not. So actually what I'm going to do, let's see. If we don't get a fill on this little push here, then I will use a trailing stop on this one just to illustrate that for learning purposes here. So I'll give it a minute. If we get taken out at 370, it is what it is. If we don't get any fill here, then what I'll do is use a trailing stop, so you can see how I sort of use those in my own trading. So we'll see. We're at that 200 SMA. We just got a fill. Okay, so we're out of the trade. But basically what I would have done there was come back onto the ladder. I would have canceled that order at 70 where we got filled, and what I would have done was use a sell stop at break even. So I would have been at 320 to start, and as price starts to creep lower and lower, I would just walk that order up the depth of market, manually just dragging it up the ladder to whatever place I feel comfortable, right? We'll get that line on the screen indicating where about we would start to take some profits or be stopped out, and you can adjust based on that. So again, this is my scalping strategy. How it works for me is we got a break of key support. We continued moving lower. My target was here at the 200 SMA, as well as kind of yesterday's low of day that we talked about. You can see that we're pretty much poking down just barely below it right now. 260 the whole dollar is right below us as well. So for me, perfect trade. In and out, 50 bucks on the day, and I can move on to some more opportunities. So I hope you could learn something from that. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to let me know down below in the comments section or by simply leaving the video a thumbs up. And with that, I wish you a green trading week.